Okay, so here's the Let's Play for Avian, and I'm joined with two of the devs from the game.
Hello,
Hi everyone.
So if you want to introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Victor.
my name is Victor Kirian. I'm the creative director on Avian for Royal Monkey.
I'm Elliot. I was the project coordinator for Avian.
Awesome. So when did you guys start working on Avian?
You wanted to answer that, Victor, or should I do it?
You can go
All
first.
right. We started Avian in our school for a student project. We started it, I believe, if I remember well, in November 2020. So we had just the concept at first. We didn't know what we really wanted, but we wanted something that was open world, that was inspired by Breath of the Wild, for example.
Hmm.
And we truly started the development of Avian in January 2021, where we had to do a vertical slice for June, and we had a first version of a game, and we had the opportunity to keep working on it in September until December and make a better version of Avian that you can see right on the screen here. Maybe you want to tell a bit more, Victor. Don't hesitate to add something if you want.
You managed to go all the way through.
All right,
Uh,
I still have it.
yes, we really wanted to. Uh, we started with this idea of having a third-person game with a strong narrative and strong intentions,
Hmm.
but we had some troubles finding what would be the key feature in our game, what would be the unique feature that would make our game stand out. That's what we worked most on, basically. The first I think 3 months, we were just looking for what could we create, what would be the tool, what would be the weapon that we would use, and we ended up finding this instrument, this musical instrument. We really liked the idea of toying with music,
Yeah.
and going back and forth in design, we managed to create this flute, this anavi that you'll be using in the game, with really simple interactions with the player. It's basically each trigger on the controller represents a single note, and each note interacts with the environment differently.
Yeah, and I must say that the intro segments, I guess you call it almost the tutorial, does such a great job at sort of you, the player, discover on your own how it works, and it's not telling you, oh, you need to do this and that. So I think it's so genius how it incorporates the music and the instrument.
Well, thank you very much, because this
Yeah.
is actually, you just spotted a point that throughout the whole development we kept very close to, was do not write any text or any dialogue in
Ah,
this game. So everything was around the notion that we would use and show and don't tell.
Yeah.
And
mm,
this is something very common in cinema and cinematography, that you would prefer to show the intentions and show the narrative instead of just explaining it to the player. This is a very strong key point, that we really didn't want to show arrows in the interface, or show some extra UI that wouldn't stick to the game as we wanted it to be. So we chose not to implement any of this. And that had us thinking, well, how do we introduce stuff to the player? How do we create a tutorial that is easy to understand? And what you just experienced was just a part of what we wanted to create
yeah.
because of a lack of time. But yeah, I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's as from the player's point of view, it's so much more fun. Sorry, when you get to sort of discover on your own instead of being told, okay, go ahead and do this, because then there's no sense of discovery really. You're just sort of performing what the game asks of you, and this again, this sort of moment with it almost acts as a tutorial as well, where you learn to go on the green leaves, but if you fall, it's okay because then you can simply jump back up. Um, yeah, I was when I first played the game, I was really impressed by how. Well, I guess I hadn't noticed that there's no text, but the game teaches you so much with just you finding out on your own how to do it.
It
And
was very important for us. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for for pointing this out. It was a very key, important point for us. We're just been joined by Lucien, who's actually our lead artist, who
Yep.
who was responsible for all the artistic direction of the game. Everything looks the way it looks because of him.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you joined. Was it Lucien?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm really glad that you joined because the art is so beautiful. And I was wondering about this is the perfect scene right here. The sort of the, how would you describe it? These drawings, the wall paint and stuff like that. There's so much of it, and I find that that says so much of the story as well. And I think it was such a beautiful incorporation to a good way to tell the story as well.
Yeah, as maybe Victor or Elliot told you about this, but we wanted the game to don't have any kind of UI or text or things like that, and we thought that in a cavern, in a cave, it will be very a good idea to use rocks painting or
Mm.
engraving to describe the story. And it was also a way to tell the story without complex cinematics and things like that. So it was both a practical and artistical decision to make these paintings.
I'm just having so much so much fun. I haven't got this far yet in the game. I've played sort of the beginning parts, but I haven't got here yet. So now I'm having so much fun just sort of exploring and seeing what these different paths lead you. And the lighting as well with the color does so much to sort of guide the player. Like when I was at the bottom of this room, I saw the red lights, and it caught my attention. I thought, well, let's go see what's around this corner. And to the point that you've made as well before, that sort of the colors signify as well the musical notes, and you wonder how I can interact with. Okay, there's the blue here, like I just saw now. What can I do with it?
That was extremely helpful as well. To
Mm.
once Lucien actually worked on these four colors, and once we realized that these four colors would be everywhere, he'll tell you himself. We had to think, well, how can we manage to make these colors stand out? So you know when you see one of these colors, something happens there.
Yeah, and the game now is correct me if I'm wrong, but it's on itch.io. Is it on Steam as well?
So
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. We released it on itch.io, but we also had the plan of releasing it on Steam. We had everything prepared and all, but because we wanted to work with different publishers, it was a bit problematic for them to publish it on Steam. So we didn't commit and publish the game, but you can still see the page for Avian on Steam.
Okay.
So it's only available on itch.io for now.
Yeah. And is it free on itch.io, or is there asking for a price? Yeah. Okay.
It's completely
is
free.
free.
For
It
now,
is,
it's a student project, so
Hmm.
we don't intend to make it to put a price on it.
Yeah.
But if we commit to the game and we find a publisher and we start developing the game for a few hours, we could start putting a price on it and maybe keep this version free for now. We don't know yet.
Hmm. But that's good for anyone who is watching and they like what they see. You can go download it for yourself, play it as well. And yeah, I
Yep.
hope that if it's the direction that you want to go with making, I don't know if it's a sequel or a bigger version of Avian, but I really hope that things go for you, because I think this game is quite exciting, and there's so much with just the puzzle design. I think is very clever, and the exploration is, yeah. There's a lot to the game here that I think people should definitely play.
Thank you very much. We
Yeah.
absolutely want to go forward with this game.
Yeah.
Our intention is to make a bigger version and more polished version of what you're seeing.
Mm.
This is actually more of a showcase of what we want the game to become. The fact that you can already play with the instrument and see what kind of interactions we intend to design, how we intend to design the narrative part of this game, the narration was set up in a way that we would tell only parts of the stories and try to introduce the player to what Avian would look like, but it's not actually a complete story from start to finish. This is one of the key points we want to put emphasis on, is to have a real immersion of the player inside the story and really feel like he has an impact on what happens to the Avians. So a lot of different stuff we want to go into more details, but this is actually not the way to go. You were on the right path right before
Oh,
with
was it?
the
Okay.
yes, uh, with the orange statue. You managed to create an alternative recovery path on the left. As you can see, the two pillars that stood up are
Yeah.
now useful to climb back up on this step. And once you go behind the orange statue, there's an opening that will allow you to go to a different section.
Ah, I see.
You were on the verge to going
Yeah.
cross. It was but it's that way. It is that way. Yeah.
I think a lot of gamers might have this problem where I saw this room and I thought, okay, this leads me to a new area, so I want to finish before I continue. So
Absolutely,
I didn't keep going.
absolutely. A lot of trial and error. Absolutely, there's a lot of well, first of all, the game we intended to create was an open world. Do you imagine how many possibilities and options you might have had if
Yeah.
this was a completely open world? It's really important for us to have this discoverability
Hmm.
and to let the player explore what he wants to explore and go where he wants to go and feel that he the way we built the game is basically a linear path, but we wanted to give the impression that it is not, that the player can go wherever he pleases and discover new things and have some secrets. And yes, it was very important for us to let the player explore.
And how many team members were involved to make Avian?
During the six first month, we were something like 20 people,
Hmm.
with all the people that were like just making concept arts that weren't in the core team. And in September, we were something approximately of 11 people that were in the core teams and were working on the game.
Hmm.
We had a few people because we were in our school's program. Some people went to Canada for their studies, but the people that stayed in our school, like us, kept doing the game, improving it, making it better, etc., etc.
And how long does it take most players to get through Avian?
For now, I would say about between 45 minutes and 1 hour,
Hmm.
uh, approximately. Um, there is some place that you can go that we are not that are not mandatory to finish the game. That we created just some little Easter eggs or secret zones like that.
Yeah.
So players that would explore all the secrets take a longer time than the player that just focusing on the main path.
It's difficult to do when I'm trying to do the interview at the same time. But there was one segment that we just went by when we activated the green statue that it felt like I was playing on a 2D game. Like it was a fixed camera, and I thought that was a really cool little change of pace.
Yes, that was one of our designers pitched this idea, and we thought that there are so little things that we can add in terms of well, we restricted ourselves to have no UI, so
Mm.
there's a lot of things we couldn't explore in that direction. So we had to work with two main components, which were the player itself, his movements, his cameras, and the level design. And this is one of the ideas he pitched, is to have an experience with a different camera on the player and try to see what could happen if we decided to go on a 2D path.
Hmm.
Actually, one of the things we thought would work really well was when we explored these ideas of having plants and how they would interact with the player, the easier way for us to describe it to someone else was to show it in 2D. We basically made a drawing and we said, here's a plant that opens up as a platform. Here's a plant that will serve as a bumper. And when we explained that, it was in a 2D fashion. So when he remembered that, he was thinking, well, let's just do a part where we play in 2D.
Yeah.
And going forward, we kept exploiting that idea, and we found that it worked really well there. And uh, as you just said, there's a lot of players who actually really enjoyed that part as having a kind of exotic gameplay to the main game.
Yeah, it feels completely different, and it's just a quick moment that just kind of takes you by surprise, and it's really fun. And with the narrative, I don't know if you can say, but so far I seem to be getting the impression that there's sort of a story of environmentalism or healing a forest or nature. Is that part of the narrative?
Yeah, totally. We have many documents with a full story, or at least the pillars of the core, the lore of the game. But it was difficult to implement that with all the constraints we had. So,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, we choose to just create some paintings on the walls to explain it. But yeah, it's all about healing and relief of the environment.
Hmm. That's beautiful, and this moment just made me think of the sound design as well. Obviously, the sound design is a big part of the game, but it's really well done as well. Just how that moment with the whale and the sounds that it makes, and you get this really calm feeling. I guess the visuals go along with it as well. Just this really blue feeling that you get. Uh, yeah, so I don't know if there was more of a compliment to the sound design. I guess is what I wanted to point out.
Well,
Yeah,
Oh,
we will
go ahead.
we will transmit your compliments to the sound design team. They indeed, it was really hand in hand.
Mm,
The designers and the sound designers had to really focus on what was as you just said, what was the intention of the zone.
yeah.
This one was calm, was blue, was relaxing, and they. I don't even think we had a lot of iterations with the sound design team. They were really. Uh, I don't remember, but I think they were spot on every time we wanted to
Mm.
design a specific music. They just knew what had to be done and what feeling had to be represented. So they just work really well, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
they really take the job as creatives and not just yeah, what sound do you need? You
Mm.
need that. We made that. They were very um, in the process of creation, and
Yeah.
it was really cool to work with them. We were very lucky to have them for this game.
And were they other students with you, the sound designers?
They were part of another school, as a school very focused on sound design.
Mm.
So they were not in the same school, but they were
Mm.
students
Yeah.
for the first month, and then they finished, I think, their courses. And for the next month that we worked on Avian, they were like how do you say? Uh, they were not they were not forced, or
Yeah.
they didn't have to work on the game, but they wanted to, so it was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can come to an end with the let's play. But before we come to an end, I wanted to ask if there's something that maybe we missed that you wanted to bring up, or of course we talked about how you are hoping that you can continue work on an Avian. But yeah, so is there anything that you'd like to mention before we leave?
I may have something if you guys are interested, and if the project keeps moving forward in the near month. We have social media For example, our Twitter, Royal Monkey. If you want to follow us and get some news, some updates on how we are progressing with the project, you can follow us there and have news about what's going on and all. And don't forget to try it on itch.io if you'd like to give it a try. So here's what I wanted to say.
Perfect. I was just kind of surprised by now. I feel like I've just found sort of a town or a village, and well,
Yeah.
okay, we can end it there, and we'll let other people who play they can see
Absolutely.
more. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
You know that,
Well. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, just I think that we worked also on an ending to this demo, so everything from the start and the beginning are the start and the ending, sorry, are polished and very worked on. So even you, if you want to finish the game after this interview, encourage you.
Yeah. I absolutely. I will.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Victor, Elliot, Lucien. Thank you for joining me. This was really fun. I recommend everyone go play Avian.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you,
us.
David.